paper Keith Smith does.
He does.
He's a developer in me.
I see that. This is going to be a good show. It's the Monday Market Monitor presented by Closure Title and Settlement Company. This show is going to be in fuego on a gorgeous Monday to be alive. Keith, are you ready to rock and roll?
I am ready to rock and roll. This is a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to this, and we Gavin and I kind of tease each other on a regular basis, so might be a little bit of zingers flying back and forth in this. So you have to keep up, Nikki.
I'm looking forward to it. And we have Gavin logged in over there, J-Dubs. All right, let me know when we do that. I want to make sure Gavin we get this on his show, on his page, please. Nikki, how you feeling right now?
Feeling pretty good.
Good.
We're going to talk a little bit of Buckingham. I ran some numbers because last Monday Buckingham came up. So we're going to talk a little bit of Buckingham County.
Buckingham County on the Monday Market Monitor. Gavin, this is your second or third rodeo?
Second.
Second rodeo on the network.
Yes,
for
sir.
Gavin Sherwood. All right, J-Dubs, we can rock and roll. Keep an eye on that channel if you could, and we are in your hands, sir. Good Monday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the Monday Market Monitor. We're live across Charlottesville, Albemarle County, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love Seville Network, and the Monday Market Monitor presented by none other than Closure Title and Settlement Company. They opened in 2007. They are the best of the best with experience in lending, title insurance, settlement services, and realtor experiences. Locally owned and operated, Closure Title and Settlement Company. Your choice to get you to the finish line. Judah Wickower is our director. If you could, Judah Wickower, go to the studio camera and welcome our panel of experts on a gorgeous Monday to be above the mud. Keith Smith, looking sharp as always. Yes Realty Partners co-founder and principal. Gavin Sherwood, who I believe an associate broker.
Correct.
At Yes Realty Partners. And the fabulous, always on point, Nikki Chambliss. Que pasa, Nikki? Ladies first. How was your weekend?
It was great.
Yeah?
Yeah, just kind of getting a few things done here and there, taking a little bit of personal time, a couple movie nights with my kiddo. Good things.
What did you watch?
Needed.
What'd you watch?
Suicide Squad.
Oh, Suicide Squad is so good.
Well, the first one or the second one?
Oh, second one. Actually,
Really?
I've seen them both. I thought it was good, right?
The second one just came out.
Yeah, it did.
Like yesterday
It
or...
was so outrageous.
So how old are your children?
One.
Well, I have two kids,
Oh,
but
two,
this was,
okay.
so I have a 19-year-old and I have a 15-year-old.
Okay, good.
So I've got it, yeah.
So you weren't doing Suicide Squad with like 5-year-olds or something?
No.
Good. Just saying. I was just like, oh man.
I mean, no, I wasn't.
So Nikki Chambliss had a fantastic weekend, and so did her kids.
Yeah.
Gavin Sherwood, your weekend, my friend.
Lots of fun. Spent some time with the wife. Went and saw some clients. Showed some properties.
Write a contract? Did you write a contract?
We did write a contract.
Look at that. Wrote a contract over the weekend. So did I.
We'll hopefully
There
find
you-
out in the next day or two.
There you go. The market is absolutely
Yes.
on fire. You guys are about to
Yes.
find out why and how. Keith Smith, the show is yours. How was your weekend?
My weekend was very busy working. I just wanted to say thank you for being back.
Yes, I'm glad to be back.
Thank you for
I am
being
glad
back.
to be
You
back.
know, I'll say this in front of the whole world. I thought I could handle that spot in the middle. Not so much. So thank you for everything you do for us.
Our pleasure.
Gavin, for those who
Yes.
are listening and watching that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give a little flip book and some of the other things you do. You do some neat stuff around skiing that you might want to share.
I do. So I've been in the area full-time since 2002. Been a resident of Nelson County since 2004. Been in real estate for just over 5 years now. Prior to that, I worked in a government capacity and just needed a change after many years of doing that.
Was that Austin, Texas, if memory
That
serves
was
correctly?
Austin, yes. I did move directly from Austin, yeah. So great place. I think might be discussion of looking into that place for someone I know.
Mrs. Smith likes Austin.
Oh, Austin's
Yes,
great.
exactly.
What I love about Austin.
Well, Mrs. Smith.
I just don't like the weather myself. It's
Yeah.
just so hot and humid all the time. But
And it's getting a little dense and busy, right? A little
I'm sure it
crowded.
is. That's the only downside to me of Texas is just how humid it is for such an extended period of time. But other than that, Love the place. Yeah.
My fondest memory of Austin, Texas, was in 1980. I ran a 10K with Willie Nelson in Austin, and so now that marijuana is legal in the state of Virginia, he was like as high as a kite and running, but still beat me. Couldn't keep up with the man.
We have the bike now, so you can certainly.
I can certainly.
We got to get him on the bike.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
So the Monday Market Monitor, presented by Closure Title and Settlement Company. Nikki Chambliss, the show is yours. What are you watching on a Monday?
What am I watching on a Monday? Well, I'm looking at this whole Monday Monitor that we pull up just to see what's going on this week, kind of taking a look to see what it is versus last week. And I think we've got some interesting numbers. Keith, are we ready for the numbers?
Go.
Well, we've got, actually, I can't see that number. Is it 96 new?
It's 96 now.
96, thank you. And last week it was 63. So we're up a good bit on that.
So 96 new listings.
Mm-hmm.
Last Monday, 63 new listings.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
What about pending? What was
The
the difference?
pending, where we've got pending, 88 pending. Last week we were looking at 68.
Yeah.
So of course, difference in numbers there. Some
What about
price
the
changes going on.
Yep, sure
right?
is. Some price,
Yeah,
a couple
little bit of that.
A little bit of that going on. But what we want folks to take away from the show or watching this Monday Market Monitor, I threw an extra M in there, is we want to try to help folks understand where the trends are going on in the market, and particularly what we're going to do over the next few weeks is take a look at some micro markets. Next week we have two folks coming in that's going to specialize in Lake Monticello. The week after that we have two folks coming on from the other side of the mountain. Part of why I asked Gavin to be here is Gavin serves all over the region, but since this is your back door, tell us a little bit, since 2004 to now, talk about how the market in Nelson County has changed.
So I really only have knowledge of the last 5 years since I've been in real estate.
Sure.
But I would say right now things, at least over the last couple of years, prices have certainly gone up year over year.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out as well. When I looked at the numbers recently, so Wintergreen compared to Nelson County, they're two kind of separate things. So you have to look at them individually, in my opinion.
So let's talk about that, because for the folks that are watching or listening that may not know about Nelson County.
Vacation homes versus residences.
Basically,
second homes
correct.
versus people living in them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Most of the Wintergreen market is going to be the second home market, or it's going to be the investment property for Airbnb or VRBO. Those numbers have increased dramatically from last year to this year, at least price-wise, and it's almost 18%. So it's...
That's in Wintergreen only.
That's in Wintergreen only, correct.
So why is that, you think?
I think people are realizing that they can make a lot of money with the traveling now, post-COVID.
And the COVID impact on
Correct.
places with space in a highly vaccinated area in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Correct.
So to follow up on Jerry's comment, Nelson County is the top county in the state of Virginia with rates of vaccination.
I don't think that's actually true.
Really?
No. It's Albemarle County's number one. City of Charlottesville's 3. I don't think
Is it?
Nelson
Yeah.
County's in the
Really?
top 5. I don't even think Nelson County's in the top 10. I will Google it right now, but I know Nelson County's number 1.
Percentage-wise.
Yeah, by a large margin. Yeah. Nelson County, Virginia vaccination rates. I'll let you know that in a matter of moments.
So, but why, in your opinion, there was a change in Wintergreen? So Wintergreen, for those who don't know, is a ski community, right? It's a golf course community on that stuff. And so, why do you think it has changed in the last 12 to 18 months?
In the last 18 months, I would say, honestly, my personal opinion is with the lack of travel that occurred in 2020, I really think the temperatures kind of reset. And so we actually had a very great ski season last year up at Wintergreen. And honestly, I really think that's because more people were not traveling and polluting. Sorry, that's basically my own personal opinion.
So you think COVID had a huge part?
I do.
Okay. Do you see it continuing?
I do. We'll see what happens in the next few months. The best thing that we can hope for is just a cold winter and a lot of snow, and that always helps.
And you're looking like Nelson, maybe in the top 15.
Really? How is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Albemarle County's 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I stand corrected. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
have to do better with my percentage numbers. But we know real estate numbers. So I just ran some. Now this is just Nelson County overall, right? Current year to date, right now we have 291 units sold, 8 days on market. The median price is $315. Back in 2018, right? That was 162 units sold, 83. So we were full 80 days up, and the sale price was at $242. Now that's all Nelson County, right? I didn't carve out Wintergreen.
Sure.
But I just want to kind of continue this conversation with Wintergreen a little bit, because next Monday we're going to focus on Lake Monticello with a couple of real estate agents in that. Jerry and I have been having this conversation about gated communities, right?
They're on fire.
And that was one of the ones we didn't include in our calculations when we were talking about it. We were talking about Lake Monticello, Glenmore, and Spring Creek. Do you think, and Nikki, jump in, do you think that gated communities the fact that it's a gated community might have helped that sales spike a little
Wintergreen's
bit?
actually not.
Yeah, it's not gated.
It's not.
I did not know. I'm batting 1,000 today.
It's okay. As long as you're hitting 300, you're there with baseball players and weathermen. But what it does have,
It used to be.
It did used to be, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say
Yeah.
it used to be. Maybe that's what I'm
It's not anymore. What it does have going for is outside amenities.
I'm just
Which
continuing
is
my
very
whole Friday.
appealing for COVID,
Absolutely.
which a lot of gated communities do have, which is
Sure.
what he was alluding to.
Understood.
Like golf courses, tennis courts, hiking trails, biking paths, mountain biking,
All of that.
swimming pools. You guys are the epicenter. Wintergreen's the epicenter of that.
Or
Correct.
it could have been the last time I was up in Wintergreen, there was a gate. So could have been that.
It's a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
We'll just leave it at that.
Been here for a while.
Yeah.
So while I'm trying to save myself here, Nikki, why don't
Yeah,
you jump
sure.
in and see if you can resurrect the rabbit hole I'm going down into. Any thoughts on Nelson County?
Oh, I mean, I think what we've already touched on is totally on point. COVID, right? Everybody who's living here that maybe would have traveled elsewhere for their skiing or to go overseas or Colorado or wherever else. I'm not a skier. I don't do the cold thing so much. Like Virginia's as far north as you're going to get me for a long period of time. So, but I think a lot of people who normally would go somewhere else are like, hey, Wintergreen, let's stay here. This is home. It's safe. We've got good vax rates. I can only imagine that that's factored in not only to people buying up properties in that area, but just doing more of the staycation idea.
Correct.
So let's pivot a little bit here.
Sure.
Open houses.
Ah,
Last Sunday there was 21. Now that's in Albemarle, Charlottesville, Nelson Green, Louisa, but that's it. That's everything. I'm doing good today, guys. More coffee.
All right.
More coffee. Need more coffee.
Put him back in the seat.
Yeah, put him back.
No.
I'm done. Goodbye.
Go on. Finish your thought. Finish your thought, please.
That's it. I have one day without Jerry and I fall apart.
I know.
I totally fall apart.
that's okay. We love
But
tacos
I'm going
even when they
back.
fall
What I'm
apart.
trying to wrap my little brain around on this thing, guys, is that this time last year it was 0. We're up at 21. We already have 2 scheduled for as of today, for next Sunday. Are we seeing the open house trends changing, going up? And I'm trying to focus around this Delta variant. I attended an open house on another property over the weekend, which I was happy to see that the agent there asked me to wear a mask when I walked in. So we went kind of back to this COVID protocol. Is that what you're seeing? What are you guys thinking about open houses?
Yes, I think we're going to trend back to more protection when going into homes, and I think sellers are going to start asking us to do that more.
Absolutely.
Even with the vaccine out now, I have no problem with that personally. To me, it's just a safety measure, and I think it's a very simple thing to.
You put on pants, you
Goodbye.
can wear a mask.
I agree. Yes.
It's a piece
So-
of cloth.
Yes.
Right?
I think from a listing agent perspective, you're going to need to ask your seller how they want that handled, and then really the decision is going to be up to them.
So how are we going to have that conversation?
That, to me, that's just going to be something you will present to them and say, I am more than happy to do this. We can certainly abide by these rules, and if you have any that you would like included, please let me know, and we'll just take it from there.
I think that from an agent standpoint, I think probably moving toward having masks, regardless of if the seller is asking for that or not, is probably going to be the best service we can give for the public. Because that's our concern, right? We have to watch out for the public. So I think masks on is going to be a thing. And we've done it before, right?
Yeah.
We can do it again.
Thank you.
Not a big deal.
If we want freedom and economic opportunities and being able to do the things we did before COVID, get vaccinated and wear a mask. That's the easiest way to freedom right there. And I'll tell you, when students return to school, when the weather gets a little colder, when everyone gets back from vaccinations, as we head into flu season, there is no doubt in my mind we're going to see a tremendous spike in cases and hospitalizations with this pandemic. This Delta variant is no joke, so mask up and vax up ASAP.
I'll add some personal comment to that. So the whole year and a half of regular COVID, for lack of a better term, I had 1 or 2 people that I knew that actually got COVID. I know 6 now that have the Delta variant. Oh, by the way, every one of them was vaccinated.
Yeah, it's more contagious than the chicken pox. And wait till the kids get in school that are unvaccinated.
Yeah, and so we're not trying to fear monger or anything like that.
Facts.
But this is the facts of it is on that. So I think, try to, some real estate agents or other folks that are watching this, the reason I brought it up was I followed a couple of Twitter things from this particular weekend that some folks were not agreeing or allowing them to put masks on it. And I'm happy to see that the real estate agents that did that, they stood their ground and said, well, I'm sorry, my client said you have to have this to come in to tour the home. So that's good. You're 100% right, Nikki. We're in the forefront. We're in front of people every day to go ahead and do that. So I think you're going to start seeing that coming from our industry. Very similar to what happened when COVID kicked in. Our industry was very much in front of the forefront on this. But I think this is coming again, folks. I really do.
Here's the question. Remember in April, May, June of 2020, there was, I'm not going to use the cliche P word. I'm just going to say a switch from open houses in person to virtual open houses. Do we think we're going to see that Q3, Q4?
So I've been having this conversation with various people. I just had it yesterday with a non-realtor. And it's hard to tell, right? But I'm leaning more towards saying we're going to keep doing it in person.
You think so?
But we're going to mask up. We're going to use our hand sanitizer. We're going to wash our hands with soap and water for however long, sing the ABC song, right? Come on. It's not that hard. But I'm leaning toward staying in person. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that's what I'm feeling is where we're going.
Gavin, what do you think?
I agree. I think that's a very good way to handle it if that's part of our job. Is to try to present the home and the property in the best manner possible. And I really think the best way to do that is in person, if everyone's on board with that, of course.
Grayson Emerson says on the feed here, is it easier to sell a home with an open house as opposed to a virtual open house?
That's a great
question.
Great question. I'll tackle it first and then throw it over to the other pros.
Ooh, more questions.
It depends on the person looking to buy. So we just had a home go under contract over the weekend. This particular buyer was at a certain age point that was not going to happen, right? That particular individual wanted to see the house, not to see it, even though we had some, wonderful pictures to go through it. So I think it's going to be on a case by case basis to go through it. But we talk about this all the time. Digital curb appeal. It's changed. I mean, forever. It's changed. There will be some face-to-face, and some digital. I think a lot of it has to do with the market going back. I mean, we got 96 homes on the market. There was times this time not too long ago, that was a single-digit numbers, not a huge number on that. So I think the number of homes will help a little bit on as far as that is concerned. But I'd love to hear what you guys talk. But I think it's going to be a hybrid, just like this Zoom thing is going to be. What do you think, Gavin?
I would agree. Going back, though, I really think it's going to be up to what makes the seller feel comfortable, in the end.
And the buyer, too, because there's a two sides to it, right? The buyer also has to feel comfortable with, and the seller has to feel comfortable. What do you think, Nikki?
I think this whole combo of virtual and in-person is important and it's needed. I was really thrilled with how well we adapted to that back over a year ago. And I think those people who felt like maybe the virtual was going away, which really should never have been a thought, I think they're going to realize it's here to stay. So the virtual open house is not to replace the in-person open house. They each serve their purposes. And I don't think the in-person open house is a requirement, but it is a really great opportunity for people to see a home in person and for more eyeballs to see that there are houses out there, that there's activity, that there are buyers interested.
Scott Scheid, do you guys even need open houses or virtual open houses in a market like this?
Ooh, great question. Yes and no, right? That's my political answer. Yes and no. Again, it goes back to the individual, but you're 100% right. I will tell you, the home that we sold over the weekend was only on the market for 4 days, but it had all in-person viewings. People digitally viewed it prior to, because we can follow the stats on it, but every single one of them, as a matter of fact, some of them had 2 showings, in other words, they came back for second viewing. So I don't think it's ultimately going to go away, but I get what this gentleman is saying is that the market is so hot. But it's starting to change a little bit, guys. This inventory is going up. It's starting to balance a little bit. What do you think, Gavin?
I would agree. There are a few more homes coming on the market right now, as I've seen, and that is helping the buyer out, quite frankly.
Nikki?
Well, so I think when we're talking about the whole concept of the home sells itself, I think we're losing so much there if that's the route we're going to go. So I think these virtual
Well, what do you mean
tours,
you're losing?
Well, so you're losing value because if you're not out there doing that marketing, because open house in person, what that is one big marketing opportunity.
Well,
right?
I think we're talking about showings.
Well, but
I think we're talking about sight unseen is what I think we're talking about.
I didn't take that question to mean that.
Yeah, I think how you're answering it is how the question came.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, because I'm
That's
not
number
thinking
3
sight
for
unseen
me.
as being the thing. All right, I know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be your.
No, it's cool.
Sorry. Okay. So what I think is going to happen here is when you're thinking of the house is just selling itself, right? No. When you're marketing through the open house and through virtual tours and through all of the things that are out there, which is what selling a house is, then you're gaining more attention, more eyeballs. Maybe you're catching somebody who maybe they passed it on that home app, but maybe they saw this post on Facebook or this ad or this virtual tour and something caught their eye because that agent said something about that awesome tub. And they were like, "Oh, I missed that," right? So there's so much value add to those other means.
Great answer.
Outstanding, Nikki.
Yeah. Thank
you for being here. Thank you
Talking
for
value proposition.
Thank you for keeping me straight today. So,
Doing my best.
Mrs. Smith and you are doing a great job, and Emily and half a dozen other people that keep me straight. But you're 100% right. It's multiple layered on top of that. But there's really nothing like walking through a home and getting the feeling of it in that. But it's going to be a hybrid on that. Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to ask a really difficult question, and we're going to see how it goes. I'm just going to throw it out there, right? So Delta variant becomes a little bit more stronger.
Definitely.
Right. Are we, meaning the real estate industry, going to stay as strong if we potentially go into another lockdown or another version of where we were at before? Are we going to remain? This is a high level, this is a loaded question. Do you think that the real estate business is going to stay that way? Anybody want to tackle that? I know.
I got an answer. I know.
Jerry's like, I want to do it.
Gavin, you're the guest.
So what I'm trying to get at, are we going to remain as is the real estate market going to stay as nuts as it is now or as busy as it is now if we go into some other variation of a lockdown?
I don't think it'll stay the same as it is right now.
Okay.
I am hoping for, at least with my business, what happened to me last year. When March hit, my phone really started ringing. Well, there was a couple of weeks where
why is that?
Things went quiet, and then people came out of the woodwork. And
why is that,
I actually got a lot of business.
Why is that, you think?
Honestly, they were just looking for homes. They're stuck in their house. They're
There
on
you
the
go.
computer all day long, and they're looking at properties. And so they want to call somebody and talk to them about
What do
it
you think,
and see if
Nikki?
they can get a deal.
So you're like a priest.
All the secrets stay here.
Well played, Gavin.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I don't know. I don't think this is the same as the last round.
Yeah.
I think we're comparing apples and oranges just a
Okay.
little bit, maybe not completely. I don't know.
No.
Apples and some other fruit. I don't know. Apple flavored candy. I'm not sure. So, but
She's on fire today.
the market's already been shifting, right?
Okay.
Last week we talked about sellers think it's a great time to sell, buyers are thinking maybe it's not the best time to buy. That's going to have a conclusion over the next few months as to where that lands, and it's not going to be where it was last year. Last year, the market did not stop. We didn't have our normal seasons. This year, we're seeing a comeback of some normal seasons, right? It's not quite the same, but this is our fall. We're doing an early fall, right?
That's exactly right.
Our seasons are early.
That's exactly
but we're
right.
still following our seasonal trends.
That's exactly right.
It can't be quite normal.
Summer came very early from
It
a
did.
real estate perspective.
Yeah.
This year, the summer slowdown came very, very early. And now you're 100% right. Yona and I were talking about this on the way in today, that this feels more like fall right now than,
Yes.
fall schedule, which makes me wonder what fall's going to be like
Right.
on that end
I
of
think
it.
fall's
Early
going to be on
winter.
fire. I think COVID is phenomenal for the Central Virginia real estate market. I think you're going to have densely populated areas like Northern Virginia sprinting for Central Virginia because of space, room to breathe, a backyard, amenities, outdoor things. I think COVID puts tailwinds behind real estate in Central Virginia, and if this Delta variant gains steam, it's great news from a financial standpoint for realtors in Central Virginia.
Well, buyers and sellers. Well, sellers.
Sellers, not buyers. Sellers.
Yeah, but buyers are.
You're in a buyer right now, you're in a tough spot.
You're in a tough spot. You need to hire trusted advisors, right, to help you navigate through this stuff. This particular property that we're talking about off air on that end.
I was in Brooklyn this past weekend, and we were hanging out with a lot of my wife's friends, and you would be absolutely shocked with the amount of people that were saying to us, we don't want to be in our place, we don't want to be in our apartment, we don't want to be in our condo or penthouse, we don't want to be inside. And here in Central Virginia, we don't mind being inside because we have space.
So that's why Buckingham. Let's pivot to Buckingham.
Yeah.
So go back a little bit to kind of unpack my loaded question a little bit on that. This is the reason why when I'm comparing numbers for 2021, I'm looking at 19 and 18. Because I think you're right, Nikki. I think this feels more like an 18-19 market that we're in at the moment than 2020. 2020 was very anomaly. But right now, just the jump in Buckingham County, we talk about this all the time. Dry do we qualify? Quentin Beckham, fly do we qualify on this end of it? But Buckingham right now, year to date, sold 47 units, 11 days on market, roughly $174,000. So people are asking, so where is the affordable price point? Unfortunately, it's an hour out. It's 45 minutes out in Buckingham County. In 2019, there was 36 units sold, 49 days on market at 144, so we're roughly $16,000 off. So it's not a huge price jump on that end of it. It's still somewhat affordable, but you're driving.
And you know what? I learned this from the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission. I have
Jeez.
this nice little infographic right here
Isn't that
that you
nice?
may see on the I Love Seville show. If you factor 58 cents per mile and 20 days a month of driving to and from the epicenter of employment, which is the city of Charlottesville, that savings from a housing standpoint quickly gets eroded away.
It does, and it's interesting. So you can take that dollar amount. The problem is the delta between 174 and 144 and 150 and what it costs for close to Charlottesville won't offset it. The delta is going to be so wide at this point, and that takes.
Well, it depends on how many years you're doing it.
Depends on how many years
Yeah.
you're doing it, and so forth and so
And
on.
it depends on what your options are for working remote too, because there are truly people who their jobs will stay remote.
It's going to be tough
It's
to work
not a bad
remote
thing.
in Buckingham
Well,
with the broadband.
But we're getting there, so it's a matter of time. Well, we're not getting there now.
Buckingham's a bit of a
Outlier.
an outlier on
Yeah.
that.
They're
Buckingham,
in the CVEC, all the plans.
they are. They're in the
Are they
Firefly.
too far out?
This is a long term.
Oh,
These are years.
10 years.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous.
at least have to go. Versus Nelson County,
Correct.
They're on it.
You got the hookup,
Yeah.
Gavin.
We do.
right? So
Not to my place yet, but we're getting there.
Call Jesse Rutherford. I'll
what?
tag Jesse Rutherford.
What? So you're spot on. And thank you for pulling up that thing from the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission where we analyzed.
Chairman?
Would not be me, actually.
Are you the vice chair? What are
No,
you?
no. Actually, on that one, I'm the treasurer.
Oh, the treasurer. I can't keep up with your roles.
Go
This man is the most connected man in the area.
Well, I
over
don't know
here.
about that. I'm the treasurer on that. Jesse Rutherford of Nelson County is the chairman.
Interesting. Okay.
Is the chairman. And I'm just the treasurer. The Regional Housing Partnership, which actually created that slide, I'm the chairperson of.
Jamie Turner, fresh from Williamsburg, Virginia. He says the Wi-Fi is great in Orange County. Put the spotlight in Orange.
Orange County is Buckingham Orange. We're bringing folks in from the other side, right? So I've got to work on trying to get experts, agents from Orange County. I personally don't do a lot of business out in Orange County, but that's this peripheral expanding out is what's happening, right? As the center of the core gets a little bit cost prohibitive, it just kind of goes out and out and out.
Though that direction that it's going to go out, where it stays in that whole, what we're trying to call affordable housing, that varies. Because if we're going north and northeast, now you're in this triangle of Richmond, Charlottesville, D.C.
That's exactly right.
So it's not the same.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around that if we have another bump with COVID, right? What additional impact that's going to have. And I agree with you, Jerry. I think you're going to see Buckingham or the other side of the mountain or these other areas that Nelson County that has the Wi-Fi.
You guys are one of the few industries where COVID might be 100% tailwinds in momentum for your industry.
So
another industry where that's for digital podcasting.
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah.
Really?
No doubt about
really?
it. No doubt about it.
Really?
No doubt about it.
But it's difficult for us to talk about this because, at least from my
perspective,
that's exactly right. It's empathetic. I can tell you personally, as folks who watch the show know that we went through the Great Real Estate Depression, 10 plus years ago. Our industry got hit super hard. But yeah, I did an interview this morning about commercial property for Channel 29 that will go air in the next couple of days about what the impacts of COVID has done on that. And of course, I said, just watch Real Talk. We talk about it all the time.
There you go. Real Talk presented by?
Yes, Realty Partners and Closure Settlement and Settlement.
Closure Title and Settlement.
I can't even read today.
Title and Settlement Company since 2007. Experienced in lending, title insurance, settlement services, and realtor experiences.
Oh, I totally suck today.
No, it's a Monday.
It's a Monday.
The coffee hasn't set in yet.
The coffee hasn't set in, and we put in 2 12, 14-hour days, Saturday and Sunday, so I'm a little wore out.
Let's acknowledge some of the folks watching. Glenda Howard, hello.
Hey.
Fantastic agent, Glenda Howard.
She is.
We love you, Glenda. Jamie Turner, we love you. You make us better. Nikki Chambliss, your page is blowing up. Casey Feltz, Rob Perry, Chrissy Porco, Kevin McMullen, Gavin Sherwood. You got some people giving you some props, including Jason Pulf watching the program. Pulf? Watching the program. Johnny Ornalis, hello. Neil Williamson, hello. We got CBS 19 on the broadcast. So Nikki Chambliss, your predictions for Q3 and Q4.
Oh gosh, why are you trying to throw me under the bus like that? I mean, I think Q3 is going to do all right. I think it's going to be that whole. Well, no, hold on. Q3 is going to be the results of our Q2, though, right? So hold on, I got to think of this from.
No, I think what we're asking here, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jerry. So if we're saying now, the summer month is now my mother's calling.
We're like doing this
so
early
now
fall.
is the fall.
Yeah.
What is the fall going to be like? Is the fall going to be like the winter months?
Well, we're in Q3 right now, so I think we're going to feel that little pick-me-up still. I think Q4 is going to drop a little, even in spite of the whole prediction that you were talking about with the whole Delta variant. I don't know. I don't think it's going to blow
So it's an
things up the
interesting
same.
conversation we're having here.
Yeah.
Not just COVID has done this. This has been going over for the last 3 or 4 years. Traditionally, right? There's the spring market, then the summer market. I just think these things are totally, and some other real estate agents that are on can do it. It's kind of bled all the way in and out. My mother's calling me for the third time.
She said, "Get on your piece of cues, damn it." That's what she's saying over there. That's what she's saying. Donna Patton, hello. That's your guys' homie right
yes,
there. Donna
yes,
Patton, what's up?
Well, I just hope there's not a problem. My mother doesn't call me back to back unless there's an issue. So in any event, so I'm just wondering, like somebody like Donna watching this, who's a pro, been around in the industry forever, for years, decades. I'm trying to figure out how not get myself into trouble here.
You're a very experienced agent.
Very experienced agent.
Very experienced.
I am failing miserably today.
What's up, Yona? Yona Smith, ¿qué pasa?
There you go. So the reality of it is, do you see these normal trends going away?
See, I don't. I see them coming back right now, because this whole, I have agents right now who are out all weekend killing it, right? And they're telling me that what they're seeing is their buyers are being a little more particular. They're going back to not only requiring just 4 walls, right? That is no longer the requirement. They're starting to actually take a deeper look at the homes again. They're starting to see, yes, still multiple offers, but instead of 15 to 25, it's more like, 2 to 7, depending on the area. So we're definitely seeing things be a little more normal, but I do think it's also, I don't know what we're going to be able to call normal for a while, right?
Oh, I agree.
More normal is still kind of weird.
That's exactly what happened with my client over the weekend.
Yes. So tell me more about that.
Some of the power shifted back to the buyer when it came back to submitting the offer. Instead of just throwing caution to the wind, they actually proceeded in a way that we would have done 2 years ago.
I get that. Yeah, that's awesome.
And I
So
feel comfortable. I feel
2019 is what you're saying.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Before March of 2020, I guess.
The only thing that I could see
I say March,
potentially
whenever it
bearish
was.
for your industry is lack of inventory.
Well,
That's the
Yeah.
only bearish KPI, key performance
That's
indicator.
true.
it is now.
Yeah.
It is already.
Because if you guys don't have anything to sell, you guys ain't making any money.
Yep. A lot of people don't know that. I actually had that conversation with a client the other day that said, you must be doing really, really well. I said, yeah, we're very fortunate. We're blessed. We do very, very well. But you have to understand, if I can't find a house for you to buy,
You're sitting on the sidelines.
I don't get paid.
Right. Donna Patton says, careful, Smith,
Yeah.
careful. Kara Bass
Sorry,
says,
Donna.
get him, Donna Patton, get him. That's from Kara Bass. Is Kara Bass in the industry?
She
She
is
is,
one of
yeah,
our
she's
brand
a
new agents.
little rock star.
Absolutely.
Get him, Donna Patton.
Yeah. No, you're right. I am way off my game. Good news, Mom's well.
Good.
Mom and Dad are good.
Yeah.
We'd like to hear that.
Okay.
Well, I had dinner with them last night, and my parents are...
And she also says, Keith, realtors.
Yeah, that's don't even do the.
We
fight.
had a great, Ara and I had a great meeting last week and enjoyed a cup of coffee and talked about a few things. And she was very nice to me. She didn't rub in the realtor thing.
I think when she called her very experienced, she started rubbing it in.
I'm trying to recover. I'm apparently not enough coffee in me, but and Kara's a rock star. We had a great meeting last week with her. So look, I personally think that this whole hey, there's a spring market, a winter market, or whatever is gone. I think it's been gone for years. I will tell you, we sold more stuff in December, in November than we do, in the summer. It's just cyclical. I will tell you though, there was a pause button as far as sales go. I think as soon as everybody said you can go travel now with COVID, there was a huge pause button, and you're starting to see with the new units coming on market in the week. It's kind of on par though, right? I mean, 96, 88, to me it's a balance. It kind of goes up and down a little bit on that end of it, so which I think is a great sign, but Jerry's spot on. If we can't figure out how to increase density with the missing middle, upzoning, and create more inventory, people willing to sell the homes, it's going to that's going to be the summer slow. That's going to kind of be more of the dictator of it than I think the actual seasons of the year.
I got Buckingham, and guys, you guys have the numbers here. I'm on the CAR website.
Yep.
I put Buckingham, Virginia into the search bar, and I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 active listings in Buckingham. And of those 5, the most affordable is $289,900 asking.
Yeah.
And then you got a $525K, a $795K, a $369K, and a $700K. So we're talking Buckingham County, and the only one under 300 is $289,900. All the other ones are 5+. Oh, excuse me, you got one at $369,000. Then you got 3 at 5+, and 2 at 7+.
But that's also a tremendous with acreage too.
Yeah.
And that's the trade-off when you go out to Buckingham County. You typically get a little bit more land.
But not a lot of affordability here.
No. and I did not run the active, so thank you for doing that. On that, I was just trying to figure out what the sales price change was since 2021 versus 2018 or 2019 on that end of it, but you're 100% right. The other interesting thing, which I did not do for you, is take a look at what's in pending. If you can take a look at what's in pending, and some other realtor can do that on that because you can't access that, you'll find out what's pending is multiple times what's available. So the pending active ratio is lopsided.
We're also in an overlapping area too with Buckingham. So that north part of Buckingham is the part that we consider close to Charlottesville.
Sure.
But most of Buckingham is closer to Farmville than Charlottesville.
That's
So different
correct.
market?
It's
Different
yes.
market.
Yeah.
Well, it's
different.
It's different. It's a different MLS.
Yeah,
Yes.
is it a different?
It
a
is.
different
It's a different
Okay,
listing
there we go.
service.
Good
So
point.
but to be clear, what we're pulling only is in
Is in
the
ours.
car, our footprint.
And there is a lot of overlap. We have a lot of agents who do work very deep into Buckingham. I've been one of those at various points.
So it's interesting. You brought up something that I've been experiencing and experienced over this weekend with these couple of transactions we're working on. Every showing that we had on these couple of listings were from agents outside the area, other side of the mountain.
Yes.
Northern agents driving down from Northern Virginia to come down and look, which is telling me they have no. We literally had two agents and buyers coming from the other side of the mountain back to this side of the mountain, which is a little bit different than what we've been talking about for some time.
This is from Twitter for you.
All right.
Okay, this is from a family that previously lived in Redfields that now
Yes.
lives in Stanton.
Oh.
So
Okay, yes.
Jerry Miller now, to give you an idea of how the Stanton housing market is, a house came on the market on Friday afternoon, this past Friday. We contacted our realtor, Donna Patton, realtor. We contacted our realtor on Saturday at 6 p.m. to see if we could get a showing on Monday.
Yep.
Our realtor replied at 8 p.m. the same night. The realtor said that there were already 4 written offers for the home and the owners were going to consider them at noon on Saturday. We've got our best shot to make a decision between Friday at 8 and Saturday at 12 p.m. if we wanted to buy a home.
Or put an offer in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's possible that
We'll
the
just-
realtor that they're going to may be someone they used in Charlottesville who is driving out to
Sure.
Stanton because that is much more normal than it's been.
Yeah.
Were they even able to get a showing?
I think
Yeah.
they missed on this property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just sent him a response here. And my response was, do you think the housing craze in Seaville, Elmore County, and Central Virginia is impacting Stanton like it's impacting Waynesboro? And he responded, perhaps some, but there's a very small building community and it's spread thin between Harrisonburg, Rockingham, Augusta, Stanton, and Waynesboro. And he says that Stanton, Augusta, Waynesboro are feeling the crunch from two ends, Seaville and Almoro, and Rockingham and Harrison.
That's exactly right. And excellent point on the lack of builders and developers on the other side of the mountain. Very, very few. On that, you don't have some of the larger folks, larger developers and builders on the other side of the mountain. And it's interesting to me because I've had conversations with them why they are not diving into the other side of the market. My sell point to them is A, that's where the market is going. B, land is reasonably priced from a development perspective, but more importantly, the red tape, green tape thing we talk about
Yeah,
all
they
the
got a lot
time.
of green tape.
They have a ton of green
But
tape.
they have a pinched supply chain and they don't have cash-rich balance sheets.
They do not.
And because they don't have cash-rich balance sheets, they can't get into this game here.
They-
What I would love to see is a Stanley Martin go on that side.
We're having discussions.
Oh, imagine that. Imagine that.
I knew that answer before you
Imagine
said it.
that.
I didn't know the answer before I said that.
I missed you.
I spent a lot of time with you. Stephanie Rhodes is watching. Stephanie, Interstate is a home's best friend.
Yeah, I've totally screwed that up.
Interstate
Stephanie.
is a home's best friend. Just say it.
Interstate Service Company is a home's best friend.
Thank you.
I apologize.
Interstate Service Company is a home's best friend. We love Interstate.
I totally screwed that up on Friday. I'm so sorry.
But she says this, the market is so brutal on first-time home buyers. Brennan, which is her son, has been trying for months, but everything is overpriced and he's being outbid on everything.
Yes, yeah.
Stephanie, I love when you watch the show.
Yeah.
Please let us know if anything should be on our radar, Stephanie Rhodes.
Yeah. Like, get Smith to speak English and stuff like
This is her son.
Yeah. Look, so here's what I tell people in that circumstances, and I'll let the two professionals across the table also chime in on it after me. Don't give up. there is some buyer fatigue out there. That's a reality. Don't give up. Get in the game. The only way you're going to win something is to be in the game. There's a ton of trusted advisors. I won't say the word realtors, but the trusted advisors who are at this table and who are watching that can help you through this process. You just got to be in the game, right? Look, I did this interview this morning with Channel 29 on commercial, and she was wanting to know why there are so many people wanting to buy commercial versus lease. You know the answer to that. Why is that?
Well, I mean, you can hedge against inflation. Certain kind of commercial, like we do executive office space, we have 24 of them. We have a waiting list for it. People are looking for a space to leave their house, separation of church and state, if you may. They need a place to get some peace of mind. It's a great time to buy commercial right now.
And
interest rates are low.
That's it right there.
It's tailwinds behind commercial right now.
So you can buy with single-digit interest rates in commercial these
And
days
the seller fi deals, which you guys covered on Friday,
Yep.
are
Yes.
plentiful right now.
in the commercial space.
Yeah.
Big time. Not so much in the retail, in the residential.
Well, they don't have to be in the residential.
That's exactly right. So, be patient, hire a trusted advisor. You just got to be in the game, right? You got to be in the game. You got to get to that 300, which I'm probably screwing up today, but you got to get into a batting average. You just got to be in there and keep on swinging.
Well, what do you say to the first-time home buyers? What do you say to the Brennans of...
Basically, just what Keith said. It's keep trying. Gosh, I'm sure everybody in the business now has the story of 6 to 8 offers and they've lost, but then number 9, you get it. And it's happened to me before and a client before. The elation that somebody feels when that happens makes it
awesome?
all worth it.
Isn't that awesome?
And it could be a long process. When I say long in this market, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. But when it happens,
Isn't that an awesome feeling?
it is.
Isn't that an awesome
Yeah,
feeling? You put all
it
this
is.
effort in trying to help a young couple or
Yeah.
a young person or anybody for that
Yeah.
matter to get that, and you're in your, it's demoralizing on both sides, by the way. It's demoralizing for the buyer, also for the agents, right? Because you're writing contracts, you're trying to help this client make this purchase and move on into home ownership, it's a little demoralizing across the board on that end of it. But when it happens, it's freaking awesome.
Okay,
It is.
I'm going to play for the sake of a talk show, Nikki
Okay,
Chambliss.
yes.
Devil's advocate for the sake of a talk show.
All right.
Do you say to the first-time home buyers, rent maybe for a year, 2 years, get a stronger cash position, and then become a little more competitive with what you can afford and buy?
Not necessarily, because in that 1 to 2 years, what's going to go up?
Interest rates are going to go up.
Exactly.
But so is your
that-
cash position.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
so
when we
what?
look at the pricing in this area and you think about that interest rate factor, are they going to end up in the same place? But 2 years and another move. So and it depends. It depends on right now. If they've got to move right now because the person they're currently renting from is selling, are we looking at 2 moves in the future instead of 1? And the big conversation I'm going to have is what is overpriced? Because that was one thing that was in that comment that I don't feel like we touched on. I get the feeling of it being overpriced. How long are you planning on owning this home? If you're looking at 3 years, please rent.
Yeah.
That's going to be what I'm going to say. I do talk people out of buying homes.
Yeah.
I think it's part of my job, right?
Totally.
Absolutely. So I think we've got to have a discussion about what is overpriced and what is your long-term game plan. What is your financial future? It's not just about this house.
So I did a spreadsheet last 20 years, 2000 until this year, in our footprint that we deal with all the time. And I did year over year, and I then calculated the housing depression in the middle of it. And depending on the area, because I broke it down into areas, it ranges somewhere between 3 and 5% year over year increase. So what Nikki's point is, you're 100% right. If you only want to live in something for a year or 2 years or 3 years, probably renting. Now, you may have to, right? You may have to because you're relocating or you need to, and that's what you need to do. But when you start hitting that 4th, 5th, 6th year, that's when you start increasing your equity in the property. On that.
Oh, so another part of that conversation that I didn't think to share just now is that the other question is, how do you feel about investing in real estate? How do you feel about investing in real estate here? Because if you're here for 2 to 3 years and you're good with owning investment properties, that's not a bad way to do it. Especially when we've got military families coming in using their VA loans, buy a home, rent it out, move, use your VA loan, buy a home. You're setting yourself up for a really great future.
So we know a couple people at this table that's done that, that has done that, that bought now, currently renting it, moved up to ownership.
Nice.
Ownership. What do you think, Gavin? Are
I
we
agree.
on track with this conversation?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a huge. I got out of it recently, but I'm myself personally am looking to get back into the investment.
Nice. That's awesome.
Market as well. Got to talk to the bank, as we all do.
Talk to who?
The bank.
I have to tell you, explore the seller financing.
Oh, yeah,
Nikki,
absolutely.
Well,
Nikki,
also the bank thing, I didn't do seller financing. I went the bank route. And, if you're willing to make sure you can get a signed lease 2 weeks before closing,
absolutely. Yeah.
15% down.
That's impressive that you did that.
To me, it was just the price to play. It's what you have to do to make it happen.
And the banks have a much more, they have a larger appetite for this than they used to have, right? They used to not have the appetite for this, for rental properties, because back in the day, you couldn't do the deal with at least 2 months prior to closing. Lenders would not allow you to do that 4 or 5 years ago. You couldn't
Well,
do that.
I'm saying before I close, I have to show proof that I have
No, I
someone
understand.
who signed a year. Yeah.
I understand that.
Okay,
That's
awesome,
kind of what I was saying, right? Is you need to have a
had to have more than that.
They wouldn't even allow it.
Oh, wow.
Because they would.
Well, they would have allowed it. They wouldn't have
They just
countered
wouldn't have
that
factored.
into the loan application
That's exactly
process.
I get
right.
what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah.
See, whereas now I can use that
So those
as
rules
a
have
leverage.
Absolutely,
Those
75%
rules
of
have
that.
changed somewhat. on
Yeah.
that.
Definitely.
So you know what would be a fabulous business model for all those that are watching, and you guys have 5 real estate firms that I'm counting that are watching the show,
Awesome.
is getting in the game of short and medium term rentals to offer an option to people that are in between housing. Like say you don't want to sign a 1-year lease because you're looking to purchase something. Somebody that can offer rentals that are like 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and 5 months, and charge higher than market price because they're giving the luxury of a 2, 3, 4, 5 month rental option to the marketplace. That's a business model that's going to have tailwinds and momentum behind it. Mark it down.
We may end up talking about that tomorrow because this particular investment property that I'm looking at buying, I literally asked Suzanne to go ahead from the Ally Property Management to go ahead and analyze that for me.
Because a lot of people would pay $2,000 or $2,500 a month for a 1 month, 2 month, and 3 month rental, as opposed to signing a 12-month lease at $1,800 a month.
There's a couple of factors to that. One, you gotta furnish it,
Yeah.
right? And then you've got to plug into your ROI, return on investment, vacancy rate a little bit more than you would on a long-term rental on that end of it. So back towards Buckingham and Nelson County, and I kind of want to get Gavin back in the conversation a little bit on that. So this whole concept that we've been talking about, not having seasons anymore, I know because Wintergreen is a ski resort,
Correct.
right? So do you typically see an uptick
We do.
in sales? So talk about that a little bit.
So this is typically the way the market usually happens at Wintergreen is it kind of follows the seasons. So spring is really the least busy because it's right after ski season. Everyone's had their fun and then they go home and they don't come to the mountain. Summer goes up a little bit, fall, and then winter obviously is the busiest. I am hoping for, like I said, another great ski season, and that will certainly drive things throughout the rest of the year, which I find myself kind of privy being a part of the Wintergreen market, to some degree, because I do have that season, the winter season, to hopefully rely on to some degree.
Well, you do some awesome stuff. You might want to talk a little bit about that.
So I work with an organization called Wintergreen Adaptive Sports.
Ooh,
And we provide ski instruction to people who have disabilities.
that's awesome.
Yes.
Let's get the round of applause out for Gavin Sherwood.
Thank you.
Yes, Gavin.
So
How does that work?
we are in the middle of, I've known not to ask you with your builder knowledge because you just have way too many things on your plate, but we are in the process right now of renovating we call it the hut, which is our building that we operate out of on one of the ski slopes. We are doing an expansion of that building right now to basically just better serve the students and provide us with a little bit more room. So we provide the instruction to a variety of people, all ages basically. I want to say the youngest student I've had has been maybe 2 or 3 years old.
Get out of
Oh,
town.
wow.
So how does that? So talk about that.
All the way up to,
Makes
and
me
then we
so
have
happy.
we have a Wounded Warrior weekend. So
Oh, nice.
I've had students in their 60s and 70s before as well.
That's awesome.
You know, just depending upon whatever kind of skill they want to progress to or, learn.
So if I
So-
know somebody in Albemarle County Schools that did some sort of a field trip out, that was probably with you guys. With the downhill skiing?
More than
That's
likely,
awesome.
yes.
Just
More
so
than
you know, that
likely,
kid
yes.
had a
Yep.
blast
Oh,
and
great,
did not
yeah.
want to do it at all and loved it.
Our executive director is a former UVA professor by the name of Dave Shreve. Give him a shout out as well. And so we've done a lot of great things. And the organization was founded in the mid '80s and has been around ever since. So it's a ton of fun. So if I don't answer my phone on a Saturday, I might be skiing with a student. Is during ski season.
What a great guy.
Yeah. So it's a ton of fun. Yeah.
Thank you for doing
Debbie
Thank you.
Gibson Dedamore says,
Yes.
hello, Gavin.
Hey, Debbie.
This one's come in for Gavin. It's from Jude Blair. Gavin,
Yeah.
is it easy to Airbnb an investment property at Wintergreen if we're interested?
Yes, it is. The Wintergreen HOA does not have any restrictions against short-term rentals for Airbnb or VRBO, or I think HomeAway is another one. Most people, I think, use Airbnb and VRBO.
Is the market good, strong?
It is, yeah. Especially this past year. Oh my gosh, we've seen rental revenues go from maybe $20,000 a year in some places to maybe $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year, just with people traveling. The way that a lot of people do that is to hire someone to basically manage their Airbnb account for them, and then that service will also provide cleaning. So you can live in DC and never even come to the property and just hire somebody to manage the entire short-term rental for you.
So I want to do that. What's the entry level
I was
right?
just gonna ask that.
Right now, I'm sorry.
What's the entry price point?
Oh gosh, I think the cheapest house right now. Oh, we just had a house go under contract over the weekend, $399, I think.
Yeah, but you have condos there, so
There are
that's
condos, correct?
Can the condos be Airbnb?
Correct. They all
Yeah.
can. Yes.
That's news we're making here. 'cause
So
I
that
did
gets
not know
into the if you're a spreadsheet person, call me. I'll give you the good, the bad, and the ugly.
What's the condo entry price point?
Oh gosh, oh my gosh! I looked over the weekend. There were only 5 or 6 condos that were actually listed. In the past 3 years ago, there were 80.
That's what I was to say.
Yeah.
That market has hugely changed
Yeah.
in the last 3 years. But
Sure.
what is a condo running these days?
Around 100, 125.
Shut the front door.
So-
You got 100 or 125 condos at Wintergreen?
No, the price point.
No, I know, 125K
Oh yeah.
for a 1 or 2 bedroom.
Correct.
1 and 2 bedroom?
Correct.
What's the dues?
Depends on which place you're at. They range from, give or take, $4,500 a year, all the way up to about $9,500 a year.
That's still very affordable.
So
Plus, you
what's
have
the
to-
difference? Why is the difference?
Depends upon the number of units that are in the condo community,
Got it.
as well as the age, I believe.
So let's say you take a 120. Let's call it for the sake of math 100K, and it's a investment property. So you're probably going to have to put 20% down, unless you can find a seller finance deal. But let's just say it's bank financing. So you're taking an 80K loan at a 3.92 rate, and let's say you do it over 30. Your monthly payment on that? You know what your monthly payment on that?
I'm trying to do the math myself.
$400.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then your HOA taxes, insurance, and all that is going to probably take you to what? What'd you say a month?
Depends upon where you're at. The cheapest from a dues perspective, all in, is about $4,500 or $5,000 a year.
Okay, so that's what? That's not that much. Good lord. So you're
Yeah.
talking about maybe 600 a month?
Correct.
600 a month. All. You hear that?
We're working on it.
Yes. I know. Good God. So 600 a month, all in. You own a condo at Wintergreen, and
So-
what's the Airbnb going to get you?
So you're
Oh,
roughly
goodness.
I think a
$1,000 a
little
month.
higher. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think those HOA minimums is on the low 400s. On the
Yeah.
high end, we're looking at over 700.
Yeah.
So let's
based
call it
on
a
the
G.
numbers being shared.
That's what
Okay.
I.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you get? What do you get in Airbnb for that?
For
For like a
condo.
2-bedroom condo.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, depends on the season. Anywhere from probably 100 to 300 a night.
What do you think the rental rate on the occupancy rate on that? 50% of the year, 75%
It's probably
of the
probably
year?
close to that. Probably 40 to 50 is what I would bet.
One thing a lot of people who do those short-term stays, when you really look at the data and you figure out where your rates need to be for the right time of season, no matter
Sure.
where your property is, I think they have a much higher occupancy rate. So if you're running your business well, you're not going to have as much.
Well, here's
Sure.
the flip side to
Dead
it,
space.
and I know Jerry's wheels are turning because our chemistry.
I'm looking at Wintergreen right now on the MLM.
Chemistry is going so.
I'm not even hosting the show anymore. I'm looking at Wintergreen
Shopping for
properties.
condos in Wintergreen right now.
I know. Go. I literally am doing
I
it.
play a guy on TV.
I know a realtor. He's sitting to my left.
You do.
Okay.
Yes, you do.
So
You be Jerry for a minute.
no, I cannot. be Jerry.
259K right now, Gavin.
Yeah.
2010 Stonebridge. 2010 Stonebridge Woods condo, 259, 3-bedroom, 3-bath.
Correct.
We're talking about 1,400 square feet.
I think the dues on those are 4,500 maybe.
So,
Five.
so
I'd
what
have to look at
Jerry
the
is
sheet, I'm
thinking
sorry. Yeah.
is I'm going to buy this.
Sure.
Right.
Airbnb
Airbnb it for X amount of days,
And then use it with my family.
and use it with his family.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Dude, you got one in the market for 87,500, 195
Timber-
Mountain Inn.
Oh yeah, Mountain Inn. Mhm.
That's the main.
$87,500.
That's the main.
That's the main building,
That's
yes.
the main building when you pull up over
How
there.
is this $87,500, Gavin?
Everything is privately owned. So it's not, say, like Massanutten where there's timeshares.
Sure.
Or the resort does own several properties as well, but everything is privately owned. So
So who actually owns the condominium? Is that owned by Wintergreen? The
No.
dirt?
no, the owners. So if there are 25 units in a condo, or let's say 50 in a condo community, they obviously have a condo board who then hires a company to do management for them.
Got it.
Yeah.
So there's so this particular unit that Jerry's looking at for 80, 100
more than
grand,
likely
whatever
My
it
wife
is.
just said, Jerry, the wheels are turning too fast. Slow down. She's watching on Long Island. Dude, this is $87,500. Look
Yeah.
at this home. It's great.
Shall we go look at it right now?
I mean, I'm looking at it right now.
Keith, you're in the seat now.
No, we're not making that mistake.
How is this not
Oh,
traded?
great.
How is this not moved, Gavin?
So that's what I wanted to get. Great question. 'Cause that's what I was thinking. Because here's
I'm
my
confused as
advice
well.
to Mr. and Mrs. Miller on that.
Yeah.
It always wasn't this hot out that way.
Correct.
Is this trend going to continue? This positive trend going to continue? I think the answer is yes.
Nelson County
907
is
per
just
quarter
built
dues.
wonderfully.
How much?
907 per quarter, the dues.
Okay, all right.
That's
Yeah,
a little,
that's-
that's a little strong.
For Mountain Inn, yeah, it's like 32.
That's under 4Gs.
3,500. I think it's like 3,500. I'd have to
Yeah.
look at I've got a spreadsheet
Is
with
that
all
3
the.
bedroom?
Yeah.
You said?
No, this is the smallest one. 1 bedroom, 1 bath.
Good enough.
400 square feet.
And I'll bet you can Airbnb that
All day, every day.
all day, every day, proportionately,
Look
from
at
a
the views.
percentage perspective, probably the ROI on that would be better than the 3-bedroom.
You think? What do you think,
I
Sherwin?
I don't know what the difference is on Airbnb
Well,
between a 1
I
bedroom.
mean, I
and a
will tell
3-bedroom.
you. So nothing against the Mountain Inn, they are considered a condotel.
A what?
Like condotel.
Oh, a condo hotel.
Yes.
I've never heard that term.
Financing for those
Hard to
is
find.
very hard to find.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's a cash deal.
So most of those are going to
So
be
that's the
cash.
reason it's been
And
on
so
the
that's
market.
one of the reasons, I believe,
You need
Well,
to
you're
buy
talking
that
for
cash.
short-
that place specifically.
But
Yeah.
but here's the deal with that is what the condo hotel is. You roll. It's just like living in a hotel. You roll out of your unit. There's the ski shop is right down there.
Correct.
There's restaurants right down in there. It's just like living. It's like buying a room in the hotel you stayed in Williamsburg.
And what we learned from Deandra on the Friday edition of Real Talk was
Yes.
sometimes condos make the best investment properties because you share the expense of outside structure. Real Talk, presented by Yes Realty Partners, with Nikki Chambers and Keith Smith.
An interest rate
Absolutely.
service company, the home's best friend.
There you go. That's my boy. You heard that, Stephanie. You got it right. You got it right.
I am struggling
This
today.
is fantastic.
Well, I will hate myself in the morning if I don't at least say this as well. When it does come to condo ownership, I always feel the need to disclose as I say, the dirty word in condo ownership is special assessments.
There you go.
Because every
But that's not
5
exclusive to condos, though. That is also with homeowners association. which
Well,
we don't talk a lot
it's
about.
more common in the condo.
It's more with the detached homes at Wintergreen. It'll be like living in an HOA anywhere else. You could get a letter in the mail saying change your paint color. Do this, do that, whatever. But when it comes to the condos, every 5, 10, 20 years, you're going to get a $10,000 bill for a new roof. And
So
have
you
to-
need to plug that into your ROI.
and you need to plug that in. Yes.
your return on investment.
Mark Lickman, former CMO of Wintergreen Resort, watching the program.
Ah.
Props to Gavin. I promoted Wintergreen Adaptive Skiing when we first started it at
Yes.
the resort, and have also promoted Wounded Warriors. Both great organizations doing an awesome job. Great work, Gavin Sherwood.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Mark Lichtman.
We have a ton of fun, yeah. And thank you for the wonderful space that the resort has afforded the adaptive sports program. We have a very good spot on a ski slope, which we are very appreciative of that. Let's put it that way.
So let's talk about this, since Mark is watching, and he was so instrumental in
You know him.
I do.
Yeah. Great people.
So, bringing, because Wintergreen kind of had a resurgence here, and not just in the last year. This has been years going on with it on it. So let's talk about a normal ski season. What can somebody expect if they want to go up there? Excuse me. So one of the reasons why I think Charlottesville region is such a hot place to come to, takes from my house to the slopes about 45 minutes. I'm not allowed to ski anymore, but it takes me about 45
Yona did promise me this year we're all going, so
I'll have to
keep that in mind.
I broke my back too many times. I'm not allowed on the ski.
I'll put you in the bi-ski. You'll be just fine.
Cool. So you're going to hug me and do all that stuff?
We should emphasize this, that Wintergreen is trying to do a good job of offering year-round activities and options. So mountain biking is becoming fairly big.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yes.
educate us.
So the company that owns it now is called Pacific Group. And,
It's no longer the governor of West Virginia.
Correct. Yeah, excuse me. Well, Pacific Group does the management for the resort now, and I do know one of the gentlemen who is very high up in that organization is a big mountain biker, and so he has attempted to bring a little bit more of that to the resort, and so hopefully that will occur. And I think he's been successful to some degree in that regard, trying to make it appeal to everyone. More of a Four Seasons resort rather than just a winter resort, which is huge. I mean, everybody goes hiking at Wintergreen.
So what's the connection between Wintergreen and Stony Point, the golf course?
So Stony Creek is in Nelly's Ford at the bottom of the mountain. Everybody's probably driven past it going to Devil's Backbone, quite frankly. That is still a part of the resort. The resort has 11,000 plus acres. And so that is still part of the resort at the bottom.
So if Jerry buys this unit...
Dude, I love this aspect of the show here.
Yeah.
You're educating everybody here.
Yeah.
So if Jerry buys the unit, does he get access to that golf course? Is that an
He does. Well, the golf course at Stony Creek is open to the public. So anyone, don't have to be a property owner, can access Stony Creek. If you want to play the golf course at the top of the mountain called Devil's Knob, then you are required to obtain membership. And so there is an additional cost for membership.
So you have to have a membership to the golf course itself
for the golf course on the top of the mountain. Correct.
So if I own this condo unit, do I pay extra to be a member?
Correct, you do. So membership is an additional fee.
So this comes in via Twitter. How is 151 impacting the market in Wintergreen?
Ooh.
Honestly, if I may say it bluntly, thank goodness for all the alcohol. I mean, that really has brought people to Nelson County.
Year-round options to do if you stay at
Correct,
Wintergreen.
yes. That has really made Nelson County a big tourist location. Everybody wants to see the place where oh wow, Devil's Backbone's only 45 minutes away. Let's go check it out. I bought beer, at the corner store last night. Same with Blue Mountain. Wild Wolf,
Bold Rock,
they Silverback on 151 as well. So all of these are in Nelson County. And Blue Mountain is just right across the Albemarle-Nelson line on the northern part of 151. So it has certainly brought more people to the area to be able to experience
it's not only beer, right?
$64K
Correct.
for one. Asking.
Yeah. Well, it's the ability to experience all of the the great food and the great drinks that these people provide
Nobody's talking about that.
So
it's not only beer, and let's not forget about Brewing Tree. Brewing Tree is a great thing. But you also have
the wineries.
You also have white liquor, brown liquor. You have
You do.
right? All different cideries out in that way. So we talk about 150 fun, which it's true. But it's really I think the focus about what Nelson County got right. Nelson County did this. 10 years ago. I can't remember the number of years going back exactly, but they got in front of two very big things. One is the fiber or the broadband backbone. The second is bringing in this 151 or bringing in this brewery and this vineyard and liquor business, for lack of a better term, on top of it. And it seems other jurisdictions, because I sit at these regional planning commission meetings where they're trying to play catch-up ball. Everybody's like, okay, Jesse, how did you guys do this? Okay, Jesse, how did you guys do this? So, but as somebody who lives in Nelson County, is there any drawbacks to all that?
I don't see it myself.
Okay.
The only drawback is there's more traffic on 151, which is a 2-lane highway. Watch your speed.
Yeah, don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive. Yeah,
Watch your
exactly.
speed.
Yeah.
But there's services out there, and we have a dear friend of the show that provides one called Hop On Tours.
Yeah.
He's watching.
That little shout out to Hop On Tours, that you can do that. And that's one of these days we're going to talk a little bit about how that actually works. It's basically similar to a bus service, for lack of a better term. So you can get off the roads, you can have a cocktail or two, right, and be safely brought from point A to point B. It's a genius business business concept. But
I mean, I think it's been great for the county. The tax revenue that it brings in, the tourism that it brings in, and it just gets people to Wintergreen as well.
There's a
and
reason
the other
why
locations.
Nelson County's got a little bit of a residual in its bank account. And this is it, right there in a nutshell.
Oh, yeah.
So, only other negative is a little bit of traffic on 151.
From my perspective, yes. Granted, I live a little bit off of 151, but I do travel it frequently. I have a very good friend who lives in the area, up in the Afton area, so I'm over there regularly. Other than that, there's really no downside, in my opinion, because it has helped the county. I really do.
This is for you from Mark Glickman, and he was the CMO of Wintergreen. The mission, no, he's giving you props. The mission has always been to make it a year-round resort to protect against warmer winters. With climate change upon us, it's more important than ever. The formula of skiing as a catalyst to sell real estate, i.e. Wintergreen and snowshoe in the south, is not the same safe bet with temperatures rising.
Correct. I would certainly agree with that. It was maybe 2018. I believe we had a ski season that was less than 2 months. And then this past ski season, we made it 3.5 months, I believe, I think.
But you guys got cutting-edge snowmaking
We do.
technology. I mean,
But that doesn't sustain
Well,
upper 40s.
we can, from what I understand, they can make snow up to about 35 or 36 degrees, if I understand correctly. But when we get
Get the CMO watching. So,
when we get a 60-degree day in January,
that's just,
what are you going to do?
Right.
There's nothing you can do. Yeah.
So what do you think?
I mean, I've always been a big fan, or I've always thought about potentially moving, and especially with COVID, I think that was a great catalyst, maybe moving some of the activities outside just because of all the space, and creating a very large outdoor eating venue. Make the restaurant, do like a brewing tree, where you have all of these, outside tables.
like a beer garden or a beer hall.
And Blue Mountain and Devil's Backbone, they have
a
all
good
of this
idea.
outside space, just don't take your beer outside the fence kind of thing.
Oh, something similar to somebody's trying to do.
And
On
I
the
think
downtown mall. That's a great idea.
Well, there you go. And I think
Anheuser-Busch owns Devil's Backbone now. So aren't they creating almost like a hotel right next to Devil's Backbone? Isn't that in the works? Where people to stay?
To my understanding, that building, the one that they just finished up 6 months, a year ago, I think that's the actual headquarters for their organization now.
Let me see. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But you just spotted a pretty darn good business concept.
Well, the problem with the hotel, though, is Airbnb, I think, is going to wipe the floor with the hotel.
Yeah.
Because why would you spend $200 a night to stay in a hotel when you can do it on Airbnb for $120?
Mark, if you have any insight into that, let us know here. I'm pretty, the CFO of Devil's Backbone is a tight friend of mine. I'm pretty sure that they're planning a hotel right next to Devil's Backbone Brewing Company.
So I think that's
owned by Devil's Backbone.
Yeah, I think that's a genius concept.
They very
I
well
don't
may.
necessarily think that Airbnb is going to impact that much because the genius concept from
Just
that.
stumble out.
That's exactly right. So it maybe less geared towards the mountain, more geared towards the
Brewery experience.
Oh, I
The
thought you meant the
brewery.
hotel up top. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
My fault
on
there.
on the brewery land itself.
Oh, yeah. Gold mine. Yeah.
right. So there's there's more catering.
Have you driven by on a Saturday with their camping and the trailer?
Dude, we try to get my
Oh, wow.
wife who's watching
Yeah.
here. We try to get married at Wintergreen at Devil's Backbone
Okay.
because of how fun it would be.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to drop some. It ain't cheap. It's
Sure.
not cheap.
Well, none of that stuff. Along
Keith,
there
pay the
is-
man.
Yeah, he did on Thursday. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank Mrs. Smith. She's the one that signed the check and sent the envelope. Look, we can go as long as you want.
Keep
but
going.
we're-
The show's on fire right now.
Okay, so we've dug into.
So to Mark II,
There you go.
I
Gavin's
think-
picking it up.
well, I would love to have the traffic at Wintergreen that we see in this winter. I'd love to see that in June, July, August. It's 10 degrees cooler up on top of the mountain.
Always is.
And as I talked about before, coming from Texas, my arch nemesis is heat and humidity. So if I can get to the top of the mountain in August, I'm a happy man, specifically for that reason. And I think there are a lot of things that could be done to make that happen. The word is spread, especially with all of the restaurants and breweries and wineries.
So you can visualize what we're trying to do here on Monday, guys, right? Despite
This one's been a success.
despite the inability of the co-host
No,
here at this
come on now.
point, at this point.
You're doing a
But the
great job.
caffeine's kicking in. So, but this is what we're going to try to do. We're going to, Nikki and Jerry and I are going to bring in experts for specific properties and specific locations to
Dude's
talk
crushing
about that. So, I've been living here since '87. Been to Wintergreen. I can't tell you how many times I've learned things today that I did not know.
Me too.
About Wintergreen, and my wheels are turning along with Mr. Miller's about the long-term Airbnb capabilities out there. But our conversations have always been over the years, why isn't it as busy in the middle of the summer? Because there's a ton of stuff to do there.
There is.
So is it a not getting the word out? Why do you think that is? Does
Honestly,
that make sense?
I think about it from a logistical perspective as well, and I do understand this. You can put, oh goodness, I'm making up numbers. You can put 1,000 people on one ski slope, and it's one ski slope. You can't put 1,000 people in a line for the summer tubing or for the zip line. You can gather so many more people on a ski slope than you can in different smaller venues at the resort, so to speak, or different activities. It'd be like going to Six Flags, on the busiest day of the year, and you stand in line for 2 hours to ride a 20-second ride.
Got it.
So that's where I think a little bit of the problem is, and there's nothing the resort.
But I think the way around that is what Mark has been doing, and what you guys are talking about is a diversity of opportunities, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm into biking now. I can go
Sure.
up there and do some mountain biking
Yeah.
instead of staying online for the tube thing or whatever. So, but skiing, there's just skiing, right? So I
Correct.
think if you can diversify the product as far as the experience
Mm-hmm.
on that, it might up it a little bit on that. But I think it's, somebody asked me the other day, why is Lake Monticello on fire, right? And Lake Monticello and Wintergreen are kind of the same, not necessarily the same, but they've been around for a while. They sat dormant for a number of years. Lake Monticello, when I came there in 1987, we're going to dig into this next week with some experts from Lake Monticello. When I moved there out of 4,500 lots, there was only 600 homes. Now there's 4,200 homes. So what happened over time, it got found, for lack of a better term. And I think that's where, I may be wrong, but I think that's where Wintergreen is at this point. I think, in a way, as Jerry said earlier, maybe COVID's been really good to...
COVID's good
It
in
has.
Central Virginia.
Oh, it absolutely
Wintergreen.
has.
Mark says you're 100% right. There's nothing you can do to drive the same revenue as skiing for Wintergreen. He also says this is a fantastic show with lots of knowledge. Please tell Keith I want to get his take on Ashcroft on a very near future show.
Okay.
That's Sir Mark. He wants to know the Ashcroft neighborhood, kind of in the Pantops region, some of the best views in Central Virginia in Ashcroft. No doubt about it. R.L. Byer, one of the visionaries behind
He
Ashcroft.
developed it, actually.
Yeah. Nicholas Erpy has a comment to make on the program here, and he says, this show is fantastic. I'm floored at the info overload. I absolutely love what's going on here. From
Thank you,
Nicholas Erpy, the CMO of Emergent Financial Services. Nick Erpy, we love you, homie. We absolutely love you.
Good looking dude, too.
Yeah, you got a good-looking dude comment right there, Nick Erpy. I pass it along to your beautiful better half over there.
He would say it takes one to know one. I think is what he would say.
You would say.
Got it. Sorry. Got that backwards. So back on the Ashcroft, we're going to do that. Actually, I'm working on bringing in a couple of Pantops specialists. Well, not specialists, but people that work a lot.
Someone say Michael Plecker.
Somebody can say Michael Plecker and somebody else to come in and do that. So we're going to take a deep dive similar to what we're doing now. So this has been the motif of what we're all trying to do on Monday is start bringing in some experts and start taking deeper dive into areas. We'll start with the basic overview of the market, but we really want, Jerry and I really wanted to get back to some of the roots of Real Talk, which was real estate data on that end of it. And this Friday, we got an awesome roundtable coming up with Neil and Sean, so that'll be fun stuff. That's always a lot of fun.
Shannon is watching in Lovingston. Right. And Shannon says, thank you for having Gavin on the show. We love the Nelson County chatter. We've all known that Nelson is the best area to live in. Now everyone's finding out as well. Question for Gavin. Uh-oh. Why is Wintergreen so red hot? Will it continue? I remember 5 or 6 years ago when you couldn't give those condos away.
Yep. Very true. That's about when I started selling real estate up there. Was in just after ski season in 2016. And granted, I was relatively new in the business, so I didn't know anyone. I had no clients, and I kind of sat there like, what do I do? How do I sell something?
You knew Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Well, I did know you too. Yes. Shannon, I really think the influx of people wanting to travel outside of their, metropolitan areas was the reason. And like I said before, we had a great ski season last year, and that was a huge driver of it.
Is it sustainable? Like if we get beyond this pandemic.
I am not a meteorologist.
Okay, let's say COVID becomes, which we all hope. We pray to God.
Yes.
Pray to whoever you want. If you're not a God-fearing person, I certainly am. If I'm praying to God, which I do often, and COVID turns into the flu, where we can manage with a yearly vaccine, is this going to be sustainable for Wintergreen?
I think it's going to be like every other location, ups and downs. I think right now is just an up, and I think it will remain that way for quite some time. I hope for at least another year or two. Beyond that, don't have the crystal ball. I would love to think so because the resort has so much infrastructure. And I've been hearing it, I've been in the area for 20 years. Back in the slower days, why isn't Wintergreen closed down? There are so many people who live up there, and there are so many people who own property. There's so much infrastructure. They're on public water. They're on public sewer. So it's not.
They also have their own fire department?
Own fire department, own police department. So
is it an actual police department?
It is. It is.
They have arresting powers and stuff?
They do.
Wow.
It is a self-sustaining community. They could lock the gates if they wanted to. Granted, they're not a gated community, Keith.
Back in the 80s they were.
In the 80s. Actually, when I first came here, they were back in the early 2000s. I believe the gate was still up.
So what I love about this show and I love about what's going on is I'm jotting notes down about future show topics and stuff like this. And before I say this, we focus on our Real Talk constantly about affordable housing. But I really want to take a look at the growing second home market. Because that's kind of what's going on there, right? I think you're seeing a lot of second home market out there. If you can get a condo for the numbers that Jerry's quoting out there and looking at it, I think what happened, and you take a look at the Hamptons, you take a look at Cape Charles on the tip of the Delmarva Peninsula on the other side of the Chesapeake Bridge and Tunnel, you take a look at North Carolina. What had happened during COVID, people just went there to stay. They just went, okay, now I'm moving into my second home, because I had a little bit more room. It wasn't in more of an urban area. I think you're going to see Wintergreen move along. So we haven't gotten you too much into the conversation, Nikki, so I apologize. We kind of geeked out on that.
We took turns on the show.
So what do you think about all this conversation?
Well, I'd like to add that I really hope that this newer, and I don't think it's just COVID. I think over the last few years, I've seen more people biking than I ever had before.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a budding thing. COVID blew up roller skating, and I think winter sports, the winter equivalents of those things as well. And I hope that what we bring from this last year and a half is that being outside is great. I think we got so inside our homes for a while, that maybe this whole resurgence of being outside and appreciating the outdoor areas. Now, granted, we live in an area that is budding because of that, but I think in the last couple years, that has been a big draw, and I hope that continues. I think it can be sustaining.
So just to put it around the bike thing, everybody who watches the show knows I'm now into biking because I can't run any longer because of certain things. My body's not as young as it used to be. I did my first ride yesterday in a week because it took me a week for the bike to get back from the shop from the tune-up. And I was talking to the guys at the bike shop, and they said, look, if this was 2 years ago, you'd drop it off, I'd have it ready for you in 2 hours, right? It took a week. Is Mrs. Smith still watching?
She is.
I'm making a begging for her to allow me to buy a second bike, because if I would have had a second bike, I would have been able to continue my biking on that week. Just saying.
Aren't these bikes thousands of dollars?
Many thousands of dollars. But I can't.
You need 2 bikes?
Yes, you're supposed to help me out.
Okay, he needs 2 bikes. He needs 2 bikes.
Supposed to help me, brother.
He needs 2 bikes.
I think the cooler aspect of that area is really nice too. Like my youngest kid and I, we went for a walk over at Riverview Park last night, and I was like, we've got to go walk on the mountain some for some of these weekend times because it's 10 degrees cooler over there. If I go over to Blue Ridge or up north on Skyline Drive or any of the other great areas, Crabtree Falls, all of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we covered a lot of detail this show. Took the co-host a little bit of time to get warmed up in here to go and do it. But, is there, we focused on, we kind of just touched on Buckingham. There's not really that much detail that we can dive into it other than it's trending up. Prices are going up, so this is telling us folks are driving out there to go and do this. But our major focus I wanted to be was to shine on Gavin and Nelson County and Wintergreen. So thank you for doing that today. There's a lot of great information that got us out here. So if you're interested, reach out and call Gavin, DM Gavin, DM us. We'll go ahead and make a connection with Gavin to help things move along on that. Long picture, real estate market. We talked about that. We're talking about this crystal ball stuff all the time. We kind of went through it. I feel I think the real estate market is going to continue going up.
You're on fire. You just need inventory.
We just need inventory. Interesting conversation for us tomorrow. There was a pivot a little bit to Crozet. There was a vote that happened last week that they officially are going to be moving in the missing middle into the comprehensive plan for that. That was huge. That was a huge step forward. It's a 4-2 vote. But we're going to probably tackle that on Friday with Neil and Sean.
Donna Patton, my son is one of the owners of the Bicycle Guys, Keith.
I know.
Giving you a little hint there.
I know.
Mark says, Nikki is right. COVID resurrected the golf industry, which was trending downward for years.
Sure. Well, it was a big thing when 5-6 years ago, and this is interesting. This goes to the comment on how long it takes projects to get approved these days. There's red tape into green tape, right? It's 6 years to go, and the market kind of goes up and down. The price to put in a golf course is tremendously expensive. The last time I looked at it was about $100,000 a hole. That was years ago. That was about 10 years ago to go ahead and do that. That's on top of the land acquisition.
Yeah, you gotta buy the land. Yeah.
That's on top of the land acquisition. And I bet you that $100,000 is probably a little bit light on that end of it. But you're 100% right. I took my bike ride on yesterday, drove past the golf course at Lake Monticello. Parking lot was jammed.
Yeah.
2 years ago, you probably wouldn't have seen that. So
That's the Monday Market Monitor.
All right.
You guys were fantastic.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, seriously.
Thank you.
Absolutely fantastic.
Gavin, thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Keith.
This was very
Yeah.
last minute. Thank you for doing it.
You were A+, dude. And
Thank
so
you.
were you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, the Monday Market
Yeah.
Monitor presented by Closure Title and Settlement Company. They opened in 2007. They have experience in lending, title insurance, settlement services, and realtor experiences. They're locally owned and operated, 3 licensed title insurance agents, and 5 closures on staff. Keith Smith,
Next-
teaser for tomorrow.
It's just Batman and Robin. I'm
Love
I'm looking forward to it. This is a great show, but I love it when it's just you and I. We have a lot of fun. Next Monday, we got sitting in those 2 seats, 2 rock stars from Lake Monticello, from Long and Foster, from the office out there. And the following Monday, we're going to have 2 more rock stars from the other side of the mountain. So I took a bunch of notes. We're going to start stacking up some great realtors on the other side of the table from here to talk some micro markets and stuff like that in the future. So thank you, sir.
Fantastic, guys. The I Love Seville show is in 45 minutes. Thank you for joining us on the Monday Market Monitor. We will see you in 45 minutes and on Real Talk at 10:15 a.m. tomorrow. Take care, guys. Have a good morning.
Awesome.
And well done.
Thank you, sir.
Good job, Judah.